Good afternoon, good morning, actually, everyone. My name is Germán Sacristan, and I am the head of marketing for X1. X1 is a company that sells marketing services, mostly via print, but we also use other channels to help our customers to communicate with their customers or prospects. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you being here. I welcome all of you to our first Lunch and Learn event here at X1. And the first topic for this Lunch and Learn is, what is data useful for? Actually, I remember in 2003 when I was actually working in London at a private hospital, Portland Street, that somebody came up to me and started talking to me at that time about data. This is probably 23 years ago. Prior to the first time that I heard data, I'm sure that data was going around. I think that the conversation about data or information is so powerful that it's been around before even all these big technologies launched in our marketplaces. And still today, you read any marketing magazine, if you join any marketing groups, data, or what they call big data today, is the focal point of the conversation. So we saw X1 to just spend half an hour of a brief presentation, maybe 25 minutes, to share our experience with data, and hopefully this will be helpful to all of you. So let's start. Our menu is not just about what is data useful for and why, but also what data do we need, because it's not just about having data for the sake of having data. This is not a competition that the more data that you have, the more successful you are going to be. It's all about knowing what you need to know to help you grow, and this is what we are going to discuss here. And also, it's really important, once you identify what you need to know, how do you collect it, how do you keep it, and how do you organize it? And this is critical, because you can have all the data that you want, but if you don't organize it in the right way, that data won't be functional, and actually you won't be able to make the right decisions based on that data and utilize it to help you grow your business. So these are the 3 points in the menu, and we are going to go one by one. Obviously, at the end of this presentation, we will go out to lunch. We have plenty of sandwiches and beverage and nice sweets and desserts, and we can actually chat about any topics within this presentation or around this topic of data. So what is data useful for, and why? The first thing that comes to my mind is information or data is really important to make customer assessment. We need information from our customers in order to strategically grow them. And obviously, and I'll talk about this at the end of my presentation, any company's business objectives is to grow their existing customers as well as to get new customers. These are two basic concepts that they've been around for forever. So looking at existing business, our existing customers, assess those customers so we can be more strategic is a critical thing to do for any business. And obviously, in order to assess the customers, we need data of information. The second thing that comes to mind, data is important to describe our targets, especially today in this saturated marketplace where we have to be very focused and we cannot be wasting time and money talking to the wrong people. We need to describe our targets so we can find them, and data is critical for that. Obviously, the new technologies, well, not new anymore, like CRMs and things like that, customer relationship management tools, will help us analyze who are the customers that are buying from us. And that helps us obviously describe our target, on top of obviously knowing our products and services. And based on that knowing, we can identify who will be most likely the right person or company that will buy from us. So really, really important. And data is extremely important to profile our target. We always said, this is a very old saying, that it's easier to sell to somebody that you know or a friend than somebody that you don't know. So the better that you know your customers, and this is data, the better that you're going to be able to engage them in a successful and relevant way. like I said before, it's not just about having data, but how do we organize that data when we have a database of 3, 4, 5,000, 50,000 customers, so we can profile them, put them in different groups that share similar characteristics and actually be more productive when we talk to them. But data is going to be critical to profile a target, and it's going to be critical to be effective when we just contact or engage those customers. And also, data is critical to make the right decisions. This is a huge one. Data helps us make the right decisions, measure the return on investment. If we don't measure the return on investment of anything, any activity that we do, then we don't know if we actually invest in our money and time in the right activities, right? So this is critical. I remember a quote from a guy from a different century. I think that his name was John Wanamaker, that used to say, I know that 50% of the money that is invested in marketing goes to the bin, goes to the rubbish, to the trash. My problem is that I don't know which half is that half. So just actually measuring and tracking data also is very, very critical to make the right decision. And data is critical to understand after any marketing activity or sales activity, what worked and what didn't. And based on those knowings, then you also change your strategy and evolve. So my presentation today, short presentation, is going to be based on these points, which for me is what is data useful for. So instead of talking about big data and overwhelming everybody about different things, I'm just going to be focusing on these functional things that relate to pretty much any business in the marketplace today. So the first one that I mentioned was data to make customer assessments. How do you use data to make customer assessments so you can create the right strategies to grow those customers? And a big thing here is that we need to segment our customers in order to make these assessments. So we need to focus on how we organize and segment these existing customers in a way that we can identify any opportunities or red flags. What is this segmentation look like, and what type of information do we need in order to create this segmentation? And this is what I'm going to talk about now. So the most simple, and I'm going to keep it really simple because things get complicated very easily by themselves. So if we start with something very complicated, it's going to end up in something completely that is not doable, right? So something very simple. Segmenting our existing customers based on two things. Customers attrition risk, what customers are loyal and which customers aren't, what customers are most likely to stay with us and which customers aren't, and also customer profitability or purchase size, which customers buy a lot and which customers buy a little. And then we'll build 4 different, very simple strategies to address these 2 different big, topics of loyalty and purchase size. Obviously, we want to keep customers loyal, lifetime value, customers that they are with us for pretty much forever, and those customers to keep spending with us as much as possible. And we need to strategize that. So for customers that the attrition rate is high, we feel that they are about to leave us, and obviously there are different ways of knowing that. Maybe you just know that because you had a conversation with a customer, or a customer call your customer service department and express some type of dissatisfaction or whatever, and then you can flag that customer as he's probably gonna leave. And that's why it's so important that any information that we have through any channels, customer service, billing, any marketing, sales, is actually recorded into a CRM system, so marketing can go there and actually utilize that information to be more strategic. But for these customers, a customer that doesn't buy very much, and in marketing there is always exceptions to every rule, so I'm not saying that you should do this 100% with all your customers. But this segment of customers that they buy very, very little and they are at risk of leaving us, maybe I wouldn't invest a lot here because I have a marketing budget and I need to put my money and my time in the right places. They don't buy very much, they leave in anyway. I'm not gonna worry too much about it as we cannot do very well with everybody here. But the customers that are actually about to leave or they are unhappy and at the same time they buy a lot, these are a really big flag. These customers, we should make a survey, we should find out why, and based on that why, we actually need to, in a personal way, react to that. So to try to keep those customers from not leaving us. A simple way of also looking into attrition rates is just to compare, quarter revenues. So first quarter revenue of customers last year versus this year. And if you see a decline in the customers that you see a decline, I will maybe put them on attrition rates to think, well, these customers, they used to buy 5, 10,000, 3,000 pounds last year, and now they buy much less. Are they because they're on the way out? Or maybe just, no, they are not on the way out. They any other reasons, the budgets are tighter, because of the economy or whatever. But it's good to, raise a red flag with these customers and have a close strategy, because remember that these customers are buying a lot and they are high risk. So at least you have to give yourself the benefit of the doubt to think, well, careful with these customers because they might be leaving us. Obviously, customers that there is no risk, they're loyal, but they buy little. They're already buying, so why not utilizing some cross-selling or upselling strategies here to try to increase that investment with us or expenditure with us. So I will use some nurturing strategy and increase the value of what we sell. Probably through cross and upselling to get our customers that they already loyal to spend more money with us. And obviously these are the great customers that they are loyal. On top of that, they spend a lot with us. But just because they're loyal and spend a lot with us, I wouldn't leave them. And the strategy for me won't be like, okay, these are safe, that's it. No, I will keep investing with them in loyalty plans, seeing what good things I can do for them that they, to keep them loyal. So a very, very simple segmentation that it can be done, with all your existing customer base, just kind of like segmenting them in these 4 groups. Now, when we're talking about B2B, this is a little bit more tricky, because what I was talking before about profitability or purchase size, it has 2 components that are very relevant here. In B2B, sometimes not every customer is sold at the same price, and the payments conditions for each customer might be slightly different. So just because a customer buys a lot from us in B2B, not necessarily sometimes that means that it's a profitable customer. Because if a customer buys a lot, but a very tight sales margin, really, really tight, and then is a bad payer for whatever reason, for me that won't be a profitable customer, even though they're buying a lot. So strategically, we will have to address that. Even though they're buying a lot, this is a great thing. How can we change, that they become better payers if there is something that we can do? And is there a way that we can increase our sales margins by providing more value, so it becomes an actual profitable customer? Because sometimes customers, just because they buy a lot, if actually the margins are very tight and they pay back, they might be hurting our business more than helping our business. So it's just a quick point to make, that when it goes to B2B, it's different. B2C, normally just the price is the same for everybody. You just buy, you pay that price, and you pay cash or credit card right there. So purchase size, if somebody spends a lot with us, normally means that it's a profitable customer. So in B2B, the segmentation, and I'm just going to talk about this segmentation one more time. Purchase size, sales margins, and payment reliability is just is under the umbrella of customer profitability, and obviously well segmented by attrition risk. Another, to make it a little bit more difficult, but not so difficult, we were talking about a simple segmentation of attrition risk and profitability. I'm going to add two more components that I think that are critical, that are purchase frequency and purchase history. And the reason why I'm adding this is because it's important strategically to segment our customers based on frequency, because the strategy could be, if this customer buys a lot and is loyal, but he only buys in January, is there a way that we can also sell them in March or September, October, all the times of the year? Is there a strategy that will make sense? And it might be that there is no strategy that makes sense, because that's the way that they do the purchases of the products that we're selling. But maybe we have other products or services that they are not aware of, that they could be sold at different times. And maybe why not, from a marketing perspective, strategically engage those customers to make them aware of those, and maybe we can sell them at different times. So this might not work for everybody, but I think that it's good to just add this to the segmentation. And the purchase history is really important. I mean, knowing that maybe some customers, they are buying this type of product, and maybe it's just, it will be a good transition. If you buy this type of product, why don't you buy this or that? Or if you buy this type of product, why don't you buy this service? Now these days, companies, they're investing more in services, because it's where sometimes they make more money, because services relate to that support, right? And people, and it's not a commodity product, like a product with some specs of the product that is just a little bit easier to copy that product, right? So everybody in the marketplace, they're trying to just to support their products with services. And why not doing that? And obviously we can create another segmentation based on purchase history. But it's also important that the purchase history, for some companies, they are products that they have life cycles that they finish. So why not segmenting customers based on those products, and then engage them at the right time when those products are up, because the lease of the product is up, or because we know that that product after 6 months or a year or 3 years, they're gonna need to replace it. Why not segmenting customer based on purchase history, so we can strategically hit those customers at the right time with different products, and grow those customers and keep them loyal? So for me, a simple segmentation, again, as a summary, will be attrition risk and profitability, 4 groups, and that will be very simple. If I want to get it more complicated, I will add purchase frequency and purchase history. And obviously we add in the number of segments. Instead of having a quadrant of just 4 segments, we might have 12 or 16 segments with different customers that we are going to strategize in a different way. And of course, every segment we should add the level of urgency, and then what is the strategy that we are going to use for each segment, and what are the marketing actions. And again, I'm repeating myself, but it can start as simple as attrition risk and profitability. And you will list, right here I only have one row. If I did this based on attrition risk, high, medium, and low, profitability, high, medium, and low, purchase frequency, high, medium, and low, and then purchase history, products A, B, and C, and D, or whatever, I will have maybe 12 or 16 segments with 10, 12 or 16 segments, different strategies and different marketing actions. So it's up to you how you want to complicate yourself, or how simple you want to keep it. There's another segment that is worked for me really well in the past, and strategically I think that is very important. That is based on purchase size or profitability and purchase frequency, which now I'm extracting 2 of the segments or 2 of the items that we already discussed here to create one segmentation. So it's up to you to take a look at the whole picture, and just create the segments that are more relevant for your business. But let me show you this one, because it's really interesting. This is all about purchase size and purchase frequency. Customers that they buy a lot, or customers that they buy a little, customers that they come to buy from us frequently, customers that they seldomly come to buy from us, and the strategy is very different. Obviously, for customers that they buy a lot and the frequency is low, we need to build a relationship. Every time that they contact us, they buy a lot. But they only contact us maybe once a year. What can we do strategically to build those relationships so they come to us more often? And like I said before, in marketing, every rule has many exceptions, and maybe the product that they buy needs to be bought once a year, and it's nothing that we can do with any other products that we sell or services to make them come more often. But it's good to have a segmentation for that and try to strategize that way. Then customers that they buy a lot and they come very often, it's like the other quadrant that I showed you before. This is loyalty programs. We cannot afford to lose those customers. Customers that they buy very little and they come once a year, maybe they're costing us money. I wouldn't invest any time and money here. And customers, they buy very little, but they come every week and they just a little trip. Every month, every week, every day, they just buy from you. How can we increase the purchase size so it will be a little bigger, and maybe introducing them to other cross or upselling products will be great. You'll be surprised how many times we just selling one product to customers from a sales perspective when we call those customers or they call us, from a marketing perspective when we engage those customers. And those customers, they don't know that we have other services and products. They are not aware of that value. And once we push that, it's interesting now they will start selling other products or services from us. So another simple segmentation to group our customers and strategize so we can actually grow our existing business. Our existing business, if you think about it, is our low-hanging fruit. Before we try and get obsessed trying to get new customers, which is really important, we need to take care of our existing customers, our existing business, segment these customers, make an assessment, create the right strategies and marketing actions so we can grow our existing business to the next level. That was the first one. Now, data to describe your target, and again, this is as simple as, go to your CRM, find out what the customers that they buy from you, what do they look like, and with that profile, you can then go and buy a database, then you can go and proactively trying to search for customers that look like that. Now, a red flag here is that careful, especially these days as the economy fluctuates and it goes up and down. A customer that purchased from us maybe last year, maybe this year is not really a customer for us, because that type of profile, for whatever reason, it can't afford anymore to buy from us. So looking into the timing also when we analyze our CRM, take that factor into consideration and use obviously your common sense and say, yeah, those customers used to buy from us, but this is not really our target. You will be surprised. You will think the old days, well, if I sell telephones or these services or whatever I sell, I know what type of customers should buy from me, right? Because just by knowing what I sell, my service and my products and my unique selling points, I know what should be my target, right? You will be interested to find out that when we go to some customers and we ask them, who is your target or what is your target? Can you describe it to us to start, learning about the campaign and try to find customers that look like that and all of that. If in some cases they tell us, well, my target should be a simple target, females over 50 years old, just for B2C, just for the sake of giving an easy example, etc., etc. When we analyze the CRM, actually what they thought that the target was, it has shifted into a different target. So they looking for the wrong people now because they haven't analyzed the CRM and actually, take a look at, who the right target should be, and describe the right target thoroughly. So even though this is a very simple, and everything that we're talking about here is just so simple, it's just in simple things where companies fail. So just pay attention to these things because you might be looking or going after the wrong people. The third one that we talk about on the first slide is using data or information to create very effective and successful customer engagements. And it is critical to profile this data in a way that can be functional. So it's all about what do we need to know from our customers that will help us create the most relevant and successful engagement with them. So interesting enough, you'll be surprised, or maybe not, how some companies, they profile based on what they know, on the data that they know, and sometimes that's irrelevant. And a good profiling starts by asking ourselves the question, what do I need to know from my targets that will be helpful when I talk to them or engage them? It will help me to be more relevant and successful. Salespeople, good salespeople, do this in their sleep, do this unconsciously. They pick up the phone or they come and see a customer and they already know, what do I need to know from this customer so I can have a better pitch, a more relevant pitch with that customer. And based on that, unconsciously, these sales reps, they profile in their customers and they actually pitching very differently from a customer A, B, C, and D. From a marketing perspective, we're trying to do this. We're trying to copy successful sales reps when they engage their customers and doing it in a more productive way, because obviously with marketing we can make maybe 5,000 calls or contacts by sending a campaign out in one day. When a salesperson on the phone, he might make 30 or 40 calls. If he's very lucky, probably only 20, and visiting customers with traffic or whatever, it might be only 5 or 10, right? So marketing is a good complement to salespeople, as it helps contact more people, and the more people that you contact in a relevant way, the more chances are that those people eventually will contact you back when they are in the market for some of your products or services. So profiling is critical. So to make a little bit of a summary here, because the first point when we were doing customer assessments, I was talking about segmentation. And now when I talk about customer engagement, I'm talking about profiling. The difference between segmentation and profiling is that the segmentation is more high level strategic, based on things like customers, loyalty or attrition risk, purchase size, kind of frequency, and it creates the strategy that then we are going to use to engage the customers. The profiling for me is, once I know the strategy of what do we need to know, we need to start selling, this product B to customers that have product A, and now obviously we need to engage those customers. How do we profile those customers within that segmentation so we can be more relevant when we actually implement that strategy? So for me, it's just, that's the difference. The segmentation drives pretty much the what to do, what are we going to do with these simple segments, and the profiling is how to do it. Once we engage them, how are we going to convince them to do what we want them to do? So that's a little bit of the segmentation. And obviously in our website, X1 website, we have under our marketing library and under articles, we have actually a white paper that talks in more detail about segmentation versus profiling. It hasn't got clear in this presentation here. So I encourage you to visit x1.ltd.uk and then go marketing library and articles, and you will see segmentation versus profiling. So now we're talking about profiling, not segmentation, that goes to the personal person instead of actually segmentation that goes more to the customer as a whole. The profiling, as I say, is critical for a successful engagement, and the profiling should be driving the right message, the right design or creativity, the right incentives. If strategically you want to push incentives to your target audience or to your target, and timing and persistency, and also channels. Am I going to use a direct mailer? I'm going to use an email. I'm going to send an SMS. I'm going to take them to a personal URL or a website. So profiling is so critical that actually will drive all those things because we can personalize with the technologies that I just mentioned today. But profiling should be again, the question of what do we need to know from our customers to be more effective, to have more effective engagement. And this should be, one of them is personal characteristics and lifestyle. We can profile based on age, is very powerful, gender, income, education, status, life situation, and what is called AIOs, which is activities, interests, and opinions, right? And again, keep your profiling simple. Just the big, doesn't mean that the bigger the profile, or the more profiles that you create, the better engagement experience you are going to have. So I would recommend you look at your personal characteristics of your target. What is important to know? Is it relevant to know the age of your target? Are you going to pitch differently? So if you're pitching a 25-year-old or a 50-year-old, if that's relevant, they create a profile based on age. But if it's not relevant, don't create a profile based on that just for the sake of creating a profile. You know, shopping style, when, where, and how. This is critical when we engage people. Some people, they buy online, they feel more comfortable that way. Some people, they buy offline, they feel more comfortable that way. So I'm going to pitch based, I'm going to drive them to my shop, or I'm going to drive them to my brick shop, or I'm going to drive them to the website. Where, you know, that will be the where. The when, depending on the timing, I might be engaging those customers at that time. How much they buy, you know. These are bigger customers, I'm going to touch them in a different way. Then buying criteria, it's important to know the buying criteria. They buy based on price, especially on a B2B. They buy based on quality, on service, and I'm gonna push those things. And also purchase history and sales cycles. Again, purchase history, what type of products they have. As you can see, I overlapped a little bit the segmentation and profiling, because I'm using for the profiling also a little bit of purchase history, because sometimes if it's not defined really well in the strategy, I need to be aware that that customer, even though the strategy is nothing to do with purchase history, I know that he has this type of product and it's relevant for me to know, so I might be pushing cross-selling, upselling to that profile group. And also the how much sometimes is important to know. So in some cases, these two together, purchase history and purchase size, often comes out in the profiling too, as well in the segmentation. So, you know, this is pretty much the way that we profile customer. Again, keep it simple. You don't have to use buying criteria if it doesn't make sense to you, or if you don't have the information, and it's very difficult to get the information. You might not use the when or where or how much. You might not use the purchase history, but this is the 5 bigger profiling blueprints, if you wish, that you need to consider based on your product, services, and your market. So when you do your profiling, asking yourself the right questions: what type of information is relevant from these 5 groups, and I'm going to profile based on that. Now on a B2B, on top of that, you might want to profile your targets based on age or whatever, some personal characteristics. There are 2 big things that are very strong. One of them is market category or industry, and the other one is job responsibility. People really care about their responsibility. How can you help me do a better job with your products or services? So knowing that that customer or that contact might be a marketer, or it might be in finance, or it might be in whatever, if you're just targeting different job responsibilities, is really critical to increase your relevance when you talk to those customers. And then market category and industry. Yeah, people, they feel comfortable with the industry. They're in graphic arts, if they're in retail, if they're in finance. So sometimes profiling that way will make your engagement more relevant. So just very quickly, we're moving towards the end of the presentation, and I noticed that I went a little bit farther on time, and I apologize for that. But how do you build the data? The data is very simple. You either, once you know what you want to know, you either buy or you build it. And buying it might be a company out there that might know the information or have the information that you need through telemarketing, etc., that they just engage in customers and all that. Building it is a constant day-to-day work. Once you have a plan of what information do you need to train all your channels, billing, customer service, sales, marketing, to be proactive and trying to retrieve that information, put in the CRM so we can organize it from a marketing perspective and have a better engagement or a better segmentation for a better marketing strategy. So the data collection plan is very simple. When the customer comes to you again, and customers call you, customer service, billing, technical service, or whatever, or they come to your shop, how can you retrieve that data? Or when you go to your customer and you call them via telemarketing, the salespeople go and visit them or call them, you do campaigns, you do participate in social media, how are you going to retrieve that data? So very simple to understand. It gets a little bit tricky when it gets down to implementing. And of course, we are here and we sell a little bit of a pitch, a marketing pitch from our side, X1. We're here also to help our customers to make it easier for them to implement all these things I'm talking about today here. So what is the engagement plan? It's very simple. Once you created the data, once you profile the data, the profile is going to drive the message, the creativity, the design, the timing, and all of that. As I said before, the main three objectives is capturing their attention. So focus on that. How can I capture their attention? How can I be relevant? And how can I make it easy for them to buy from me? And the last one, actually, we use data, and I mentioned on the first slide, to make the right decisions and to grow. So in order to do that, we need to do tracking. We need to measure the data so we can actually retrieve it. We need to measure the ROI, the return on investment. Every single thing that we do, we need to measure that. And sometimes just bear in mind that in order to get a good return on investment to an activity or a strategy, it takes more than one contact to be successful. So you might create a direct mailer, you send it to your customers, and actually the return on investment is not there. But sometimes it takes more than one contact to get the whole return on investment. So you might quit right there because it doesn't work, and you just started the thing and you quitting at the wrong time. My suggestion to you, in every single campaign that you do, if you learn something about the campaign, who answered, who didn't answer, and, the people that answered, what did they say, or whatever, and you building information from that activity, you're in the right track. And even though you didn't get a return on investment based on sales yet, most likely you just need to push a little harder. It's like salespeople, right? Salespeople, sometimes they go visit a customer and they don't make a sale in the first visit, right? They have to make 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 visits to make a sale, but they don't quit. They keep persistent and they keep going. But at the same time, they keep assessing and measuring their ROI based on time. And they say, this customer is wasting my time. I'm not going to invest on more calls. I'm not going to invest to go and take them out for a coffee or go into their office or whatever. And they stop right there. But sometimes they carry the whole way. So always think about what successful salespeople do, because from a marketing perspective, especially these days with all these technologies that allow personalization, we are really copying a salesperson. And then the other thing that we track, very simple, in any campaign, what works and what doesn't. It's just very simple. We don't have to complicate ourselves. And these two things are critical. Who responded to what and who didn't, and who bought what and who did not. Okay? And then based on that, tracking that information, it will help us, if we have problems or issues on the awareness side, if we might be contacting the wrong person, we know the people that respond and buy, reconfirm what is the profile of the right buyer. The ones that responded and never buy, why? Is there a problem in our pricing? Is there a problem in the way it's not easy enough to buy from us? It's not clear enough? So you can make a lot of suggestions, a lot of things from that information, and obviously fix what is not working and keep investing of what it does. So this is really my presentation. I summarizing that there are 3 marketing main objectives for any business, which here are growing existing customers. Look at that first. That's the low-hanging fruit, because they know you already. It's easier, to kind of like contact them and engage them and all of that. Either turn non-profitable customers to profitable ones, or stop serving them because they might hurt your business, and find new profitable customers. And data is critical for achieving these three main objectives, as I've been discussing in this now probably 35-40 minutes presentation. And if you need to contact me, this is my email, or you obviously can go to our website x1 www.x1.ltd.uk. And now if you have any questions, we are going to stop right here. We are going to move to the lunch, and any questions I'll be answering. And obviously there is some people from X1 here that will be helping you out. Thank you very much for coming here. I hope that you enjoyed the presentation. I hope that you enjoyed your lunch, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.